Hey guys, it's Dan here from Super Bob Hoskins Bros, everybody's favourite YouTube channel. This month marked the 4-year anniversary of a trailer by Paramount Pictures that for one perfect, magical moment caused the whole world to unite in laughter. This thing was so ridiculed that when the Sonic movie eventually did release, one hasty redesign later, audiences were blown away by just how staggeringly okay it was. So with longtime rival Sonic the Hedgehog had made the leap from Sega to cinema, a Mario movie couldn't have been far behind. And sure enough, by this point Nintendo had already formed a partnership with Illumination, the studio behind Minions, to get to work on just that. But what had taken Nintendo so long to make this movie in the first place? When you remember that Mario has been a consistently successful franchise for almost 4 decades now, it's enough to make anybody wonder. The old Super Mario Bros. Movie, as I guess it'll be known from now on, was released in May of 1993, and is often credited as the first video game movie. It's also often credited as the origin of the so-called video game curse, a concept that people still can't shut up about today. So let's give it a look. The film opens with the Mario Brothers theme, because of course, what else would you put at the start of the Mario Brothers movie? Unfortunately, it comes across as sort of shallow and manipulative as little as one scene later, when the audience is greeted with what looks like Hanna-Barbera's answer to The Land Before Time running on MS-DOS, all set to the sound of a frantic Dan Castellaneta, haphazardly delivering the convoluted premise via voiceover.
A long time ago, the Earth was ruled by dinosaurs. Then something happened. A giant meteorite struck the Earth. Goodbye, dinosaurs. But what if the dinosaurs weren't all destroyed? What if the impact created a parallel dimension where the dinosaurs continue to thrive and evolve into intelligent, vicious, aggressive beings?
At not even 2 minutes in, this is already a pretty outlandish what if to be asking your audience of children to buy into. But the flashbacks aren't over yet, as we now see a panicked woman on a dark and rainy night fleeing from an unseen threat. She leaves a dinosaur egg and a pendant on a church doorstep and heads into the sewers, where she's confronted by what this movie chooses to call King Koopa.
Where's the rock?
Koopa!
And is immediately crushed to death by a collapsing tunnel. The egg, meanwhile, seemingly in response to the death scream of its newly deceased mother, proceeds to hatch into a human baby before the eyes of 4 of the most hardened, unflinching nuns ever put on the screen. Well, if that doesn't get you in the mood for a Mario movie, then I don't know what will. At last we arrive in the present day, where we're introduced to our heroes, the Mario Brothers, a lovable pair of plumbers who are 3 months behind on the rent because they can't find work. Just like in the game. They're struggling because of a rival company of corrupt plumbers,
Scapelli. They beat us to it again. Another lost job.
run by blatant sex offender Anthony Scapelli, who is also established as an antagonist for Daisy, a university archaeologist whose dig is standing in the way of his construction plans.
Largest construction projects has been ordered shut down as university students continue their search for dinosaur bones.
Luigi and Daisy have an awkward meet-cute at a payphone where they're established as the romantic interests of the movie. And we also meet hilarious comedy duo Iggy and Spike, Koopa's idiot cousins who've been sent to the human world to find and kidnap Daisy. And they're apparently so inept that in attempting this they've also abducted 5 other girls by mistake. I don't know if forcible abduction was the rich vein of comedy the screenwriters thought it was. Finally they succeed, and it's in pursuit of them that Mario and Luigi find themselves transported through a hellish portal to Dinohattan.
This is crazy. We went under the river, but this can't be Manhattan. Where is this place?
I don't know, I ain't been to Manhattan in a couple of weeks.
Must have been a bad couple of weeks.
Which is just this dirty, overcrowded nightmare world. And I kinda love it. But I also have to know who looked at this game and came away with dystopian parallel universe as the setting. Well, apparently, a couple of guys whose only previous writing credit was for the 1991 Ethan Hawke rom-com Mystery Date. A lot of fans of mystery dating tonight. And one of the screenwriters behind Men in Black, which, yeah, that actually makes perfect sense. We then get our first real introduction to Dennis Hopper's King Koopa.
Pithole, germs everywhere, fungus.
A germaphobe whose second favourite thing to do after washing his hands is monologuing like he's getting ready to fight the Power Rangers.
And I get the rock and the Princess Daisy. And I'll finally be able to merge our world with theirs and get rid of the mammals.
Spike and Iggy arrive to tell Koopa they have captured Daisy, who it turns out is the rightful princess of this place, and whose pendant turns out to be a piece of the meteorite that created the parallel dimension. Koopa wants Daisy and this meteorite piece so that he can merge the universes back together and rule both worlds. They don't have the pendant though, because Luigi grabbed it when he was trying to stop them from taking Daisy.
The plumbers took it.
Plumbers.
So now Koopa wants the Mario Brothers, and since he doesn't know their names, puts out an alert for 2 plumbers. Apparently plumbers are so obscure in this world that all you have to do is say you're trying to find 2 in order to successfully track down the guys you're looking for. But at the same time, the concept of a plumber is well enough understood that one can be recognised by their tool belt alone.
Plumbers!
No, he is. I'm just apprenticing.
Get in the car!
So Mario and Luigi get arrested, and then there's this weird scene where Koopa is pretending to be their lawyer. He's doing this to try and trick them into giving him the meteorite piece, which they no longer have because it was stolen when they were mugged by an old lady, who then had it stolen again. And these guys really should have recognised him from all his campaign posters, so that whole thing doesn't really go anywhere.
Take these 2 plumbers to the Devo chamber.
Every now and again, I find myself taking a step back and trying to imagine how you would even begin to explain anything that's happening in this movie to a Mario fan in 1993. And it feels like maybe this was a concern of the film itself, since it repeatedly takes the time to remind its audience of information that has already been delivered.
65 million years. We've been exiled here after the
Giant meteorite struck the Earth.
65 million years ago.
Yes, you see, according to history, a long time ago, big meteorite came and blasted our universes into parallel dimensions.
Another dimension, you mean?
Sure.
The film also does this thing where it makes sure characters refer to each other by name, since there's no way you would ever guess who anybody in this is supposed to be without help.
Yoshi is a pet of the royal family.
You know the law, Toad!
It's Toad?
Yes.
Why'd you do that? No.
And I understand that you can't just take this, put it on a big screen, and call it a movie. Except for that one time they did that. But I don't think anyone who showed up to the box office on day one asking for tickets to see the Mario movie were expecting to see double dates, nightclubbing, or Dennis Hopper talking about mud.
Do you know what I love about mud?
If they have a scene in this new Mario Brothers movie where Mario walks out of a shop bitterly complaining about the price of bottled water,
$3.
I'm gonna stand and cheer. Anyway, Koopa tries to intimidate the Mario Brothers with a machine that de-evolves
It'll be
people.
a living nightmare if you don't tell me where that meteorite piece is.
But they rush him, steal a police car, and use it to escape into the desert. Iggy and Spike are sent after them, but after a brief confrontation, they all decide their best option is joining forces to get the meteorite piece back from
That lady with the red spikes who mugged us and she was
Was she corpulent? Very corpulent?
No, she's just really round.
Aha! Big Bertha, the bounce at the boom boom bar!
So they all go to the nightclub where Big Bertha works, and Mario attempts to charm the meteorite piece from her, using his unrivaled powers of seduction.
Name's Mario. I'm your main man. Ramadan, you can't expand.
Also, Iggy is divorced?
Isn't this a little bit feminine? Yes, I know. It was my ex-wife.
Well, if there's one thing kids love, it's a good ex-wife joke. Meanwhile, Koopa's girlfriend, Lena, yet another fan favourite Mario character, goes to retrieve Daisy from the cell where they're holding the missing girls.
Princess Daisy, you have your mother's eyes.
Okay, Aunt Petunia, we've all heard that line before. But also, what the hell is she talking about? She has her mother's entire face. It's Samantha Mathis playing both characters. Lena tells Daisy about her past and reveals that Koopa thinks she is the only one with the power to merge the dimensions. She then takes Daisy to Koopa, where he does this.
You are so fresh and so clean. You know what they say about little girls, don't you? They say they never forget the first time they're kissed by a lizard.
It's funny, for some reason Bowser making the princess marry him makes for a much less uncomfortable watch when he's a cartoon dinosaur than when he's a 56-year-old man forcing himself on a 22-year-old. Back at the club, Mario finally manages to get the meteorite piece from Bertha, but it gets intercepted by Lena. Iggy and Spike are apprehended, and for some reason Bertha helps Mario and Luigi escape. And oh look, they're in the suits! And it only took 60 minutes. A new part of the costume added for the film are these boots called Stompers, which enable Mario and Luigi to do big jumps, the cartridges for which look like bullet bills. And you'd be forgiven for thinking this was just a fun little reference, but a thing you come to notice when watching this film is that anything actually resembling something from the games always has to be quickly explained away or hidden from sight, like it's embarrassed to be a Mario movie. Take the name of this parallel dimension, Dinohattan. The only time anyone dares call it the Mushroom Kingdom is when Koopa is mocking the king.
You can go ahead and choke this little Mushroom Kingdom all you want, because I'm out of here.
And even then, he only says it in reference to the king having been turned into the fungus which is spread all over the city. Which looks disgusting, by the way.
This is my father?
And maybe that's meant to be like the kings from Mario 3? But I am very skeptical of this movie doing anything even that faithful on purpose. There are also a couple of bombs scattered throughout the runtime, which are nice to see, even if they are wearing Reeboks.
Give me 3 hot seconds, I break Reebok records.
You see them when the king in his fungus state keeps trying to offer them to Mario and Luigi to aid them on their journey.
Hey, look at that, what is that?
Come on, let's go!
But Mario just keeps dragging Luigi and the audience away.
Luigi, it's a mushroom. Come on.
So from here, there's a lot of people escaping and being captured and escaping again. Honestly, it's hard to keep track. Lena, who now has the meteorite piece again, I'm not getting into it, manages to merge the dimensions herself, but perishes in the process.
Lena, don't! You're too late. You see, I do have the power.
Man, she sure makes an impression.
A woman just died, Luigi. It turns out the only person capable of withstanding the force of the merging really is Daisy, so her and Luigi have to work together to unmerge the dimensions. They succeed, of course. Mario and Luigi have a showdown with Koopa where he transforms into the closest he ever gets to his video game counterpart, and then into what looks like a bucket of snot 20 seconds later. Which looks disgusting, by the way. Everybody cheers, the king returns to normal, and then it's time for our heroes to go home. But not before Luigi and Daisy share a heart-wrenching, emotional goodbye. With this in the background.
Luigi, Mario! Daisy! You're never gonna believe this.
I believe it.
You do?
I believe.
This film is so weird, and it was unsuccessful enough to stop Nintendo from adapting any of their properties to film for over 2.5 decades. Even Shigeru Miyamoto has been known to openly mock it. He's also listed in the film's cast on Google, and he's not in it. They think he was one of these guys? So, what happened here? Well, the obvious defense of this movie is what the hell was a video game adaptation meant to be in 1993? Nobody knew, so that goes a long way to explaining how this became what it became. But the thing is, Mario cartoons had been airing for years before this, and they did a pretty good job. Computer-generated animation was in its infancy at the time, so sure, you couldn't have made this movie, but you could have made a movie. At least the soundtrack really screams Mario, with music by Roxette, Joe Satriani, Megadeth, and Queen. The movie also has a problem with characters not acting like people. You have these 5 missing girls sitting in a cell for the bulk of the runtime, totally unfazed. One of them's just doing some stretches in the background. And when Koopa turned that guy into a chimp, all the onlookers laughed. Did that feel kind of like the wrong reaction to anybody else? But then I guess that guy was also definitely a sex criminal, so it's probably for the best. Oh, and just by the way, credit to the screenwriters for resisting the urge to call this guy Don K. Kong or something. There is stuff that works, like Mario and Luigi actually using their plumbing abilities to solve problems. Luigi in particular has this arc where he's kinda useless on his own, but by the end it's his plumbing skills that save the day, even if drilling a rock out of another rock isn't technically plumbing. And just to be clear, I do think all of the cast do a great job with what they were given. Special mention to Dennis Hopper's choice to hold his arms like this when telling everyone he was descended from T-Rexes. Kids growing up now, they'll never understand how good they've got it. Everyone has some sort of device with access to the internet and endless hours of entertainment. There was none of this when I was a kid. When I used to visit my grandparents' house, there was one VHS of Wurzel Gummidge that someone would put on the TV if the kids got bored. And that was it. It wasn't even one of the ones where he took his head off.
That's better.
In the 90s, you really had to make your own fun. Even when watching movies you were theoretically the demographic for. I can remember one time The Burbs was on, and my cousin told me it was the live-action Simpsons movie. And in the context of films like this, well, it seemed pretty plausible. The 1993 Mario movie definitely has its fans, and I genuinely do count myself among them. But you know what, today is a new day, and there's a new Mario movie, and we should all be grateful that the children of today will get to live better than we lived. Like and subscribe! Also, I don't think this movie knows what evolution is.